Hello and welcome to this episode of Cosmic Crow Tarot, where today we're going to be unboxing the Modern Witch Tarot by Lisa Sterle. Apologies if I pronounced that name incorrectly, I'm not great with that. But here's the box. You can see it's still very much in the plastic, and I haven't looked at this deck either. I know it's one that's been out for a while, and this was an impulse buy for me. I was at the local bookstore in the mall, and they had this one on the shelf, and I was like, ooh, I definitely need more feminine decks in my life. I feel like I don't have very many of them. So when I saw this deck, I was like, I really would like to add that one to my collection. So here we are, and as usual, I will look at the cards the same time you do, and if it calls to you, I'll put a link in the description below of where you can purchase it for yourself. Now I have made a little nick or a little hole with the plastic so I can get it off more easily, and so you wouldn't have to watch it on there. I am thinking I need to get like a letter opener or something to do this because it would look way more smooth, and that's why I won't show it on the thing. Like, you don't need to see that, but we can take it out of the plastic. You can see it's very much wrapped up and ready to go. There's the box. It feels very, rather heavy actually, and very well made. Now I've heard people say, reviews of this deck, that they are thick cards and they're hard to shuffle, but you've seen the way I shuffle, so it's not a big deal at all. You see the box there. This, I believe, I'm not sure if it's a tuck box or not. That's what I'm going to call it. And so, very well done. It's like one of those boxes that, two sides, obviously, and has the nice little place for the cards. And this little plastic or cardboard thing over it, to keep them safe. And then the cards just simply slide out from there. There's a little book as well. It's hardcover, and it has the card that really made me want this deck. It's the Ten of Swords, and I think the card itself is called Everything is Fine. We'll see it here in a minute. And it definitely shows, life is stressing us out, but it might be because we're on our phones too much. So I really like that energy of that card. You can see here, the book is well written. It has the different descriptions of each of the cards. And there's even a spread or two in here. Well, there's 1 there, 2 there, 3 there, and 4. So at least 4 spreads in there. I think they might continue. Yeah, well, 4 spreads at least that you can use if you want to with this deck. We'll set all this aside and we'll get to the cards themselves. It has this box thing around it, so they wouldn't move around in the box, which was really smart. That way they don't get messed up or anything. And a simple little slide of this. And the cards are free to look at. Again, as you know, we'll look at them at the same time. I haven't looked at this deck either. I've seen pictures of it online, but I haven't really gone into detail and taken the time to look at the videos and stuff of it. Which, if you're watching this, you probably haven't either, so let's really get to it and start checking it out. We have the Fool, of course, as the first card, the beginning of the Major Arcana, or the ending, depending, if you finish with the Success of the World, you begin again and be a fool for something new. And I really love that yellow background there, because that's all the creative potential that this character has. She's free, ready to go, ready to begin something new. And the dog, even if you can kind of see there, the dog doesn't look like they're trying to talk them out of it or stopping them. It's kind of singing along with her, I'm ready for this. Then we have the Magician, which is the card that we saw on the front of the box as well. The High Priestess, and instead of the Torah on her lap or a book of knowledge, she actually has a laptop, so this definitely makes sense. It's called the Modern Witch Tarot, so it definitely relates to the Rider-Waite really, really well, but it's kind of a modernized version of it. And we have the Empress and the Emperor, the Hierophant. Yeah, they are very, very thick quality, which is a great thing to see in a deck, I personally think. And we have the Lovers, the Chariot. You can see where the Hierophant is a woman, the Emperor is a woman, and usually we see those as men. So this is a very feminine deck. So that might call to you, might be something you want to add, maybe not. We have Strength and the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, and Justice. And Justice is astrologically ruling over the sign of Libra, and actually I'm friends with the Libra, and this illustration definitely reminds me of her. The Hanged Man, or the Hanged One, I want to say the Hanged Man, but feminine deck, it's the Hanged One instead. And then we have Death and Temperance, then the Devil, And I like how they did this devil, because this one's astrologically connected to Capricorn, which is the goat, half fish, and the devil is actually the goat, so that's really interesting. And then we have the tower, and the star, and the moon. I like how the moon has this like dark, creepy thing coming out from the water, and I feel like it's just embracing that darkness within and bringing it to light. So I really like that illustration as well. Then we have the sun and judgment and the world to make up the major arcana. We have all the signs, the 4 signs there are the fixed signs. We have Aquarius up here, Scorpio right there, Leo right here, and Taurus right there. So that kind of connects back to like the Rider-Waite as well. Then we have the suit of wands, starting with the ace, and then the 2, the 3 of wands, my personal favorite card of the tarot, the 4 of wands, the 5's like, I want to be seen too, so there's the 5 of wands, the 6, the 7 of wands, the 8 of wands. Now I feel like this particular 8, I'm not gonna, well, I'll try. Yeah, we'll go back here. It's like I'm not gonna take the time, and here I am doing it. We see the chariot there, and you can see the characters very much on a motorcycle, and you can see the front right there, it's red. So in my head, this is the same character that's in the chariot. And so they've really taken control. They've gotten on their bike. They've taken control of their lives, and they're driving their personal chariot, which happens to be the motorcycle there, to the success of the world. So that 8 is the 8 of wands, like passion's making our lives like feel like they're moving more quickly. And so once we take control and we really like take those ideas, 3 and 4 create 7. So the Emperor's energy with the Emperor, like creating our strong foundations and seeing ourselves as the strong foundations helps us to overcome any obstacles that we face, and really lets us move forward and makes life feel like it's moving more quickly because we're taking the initiative and going after our dreams. So I like how that connects a lot back to the chariot that we began with. And then we have the 9 of wands, the 10, the page of passion and fire, the knight, the queen of wands, and last but not least of the wand suit, the king of wands. And I love how it connects, again, Rider-Waite, very, very much Rider-Waite. So if you're not a fan necessarily of the illustrations of the Rider-Waite, but you still want like a kind of deck like that, then this one's definitely one you should consider. And then we have the king of wands. Next up is the ace of cups, followed by the 2 of cups, the 3, the 4 of cups. You can even see very detailed because they're right on her shirt, it says over it. So I'm so bored. But what I love about the 4 of cups, and I always like to point this out, is yes, it's the card of boredom, but it's also the 4 of the suit of emotional happiness and fulfillment. So there is that strong foundation aspect of it. So in my opinion, the only way you can really feel bored and over it is if you feel so comfortable in your life and you feel so connected to that strong foundation that you're seeking out more and you're just uninterested. And in order to be that, you have to feel comfortable. So that's always like the positive aspect I find of the 4 of cups. Yes, you might be bored right now, but you have a lot to appreciate, and just look up from the boredom and look around, and you'll find even more stuff to enjoy. We have the 5 of cups, the 6 of cups, the 7, the 8 of cups, the wish card of the tarot with the 9 of cups, and the 10 of cups. Then we have the page, the knight, the queen, and the king of cups. Almost said the queen of cups again. Then we have the suit of swords with the ace, the 2, the 3 of swords, the 4 of swords, we have the 5 of swords. And I always love the illustrations of the 5 of swords because it's like, it always tells me like, and it's the 5, so it's the halfway point, change and transformation. that mindset of ours. Do we see ourselves as the victor here that's taking away all the swords, or do we feel like we relate more to the ones behind it? So it kind of takes like that change of mindset to really stop seeing ourselves as the victims and start seeing ourselves as the victors some more. So this definitely is a very intuitive deck, and as I've mentioned a couple times already, if you're a fan of the Rider-Waite Smith, or if you're not a fan of it, like this deck might call to you because it's very beginner friendly, it seems, because it definitely has like the illustrations that relate to the Rider-Waite, because this is the same illustration, it's just more modernized, and it shows like the modern day, kind of looks like a doctor or something, and the two people walking away. Then we have the Six of Swords, the 7, the 8 of Swords, the 9, and the 10 of Swords. Now, it doesn't say everything is fine, but it's definitely the same illustration that shows like focusing so much on the phone. And I feel like that's a big problem that we have these days. And I obviously do it the same myself. And it's we put so much time and effort or thoughts into watching videos online and watching other people succeed and stuff like that. It might be stressing us out because we feel like we're not good enough, and we're so focused on other people that we aren't really growing ourselves. So I really like that illustration, like they've added that. It's yes, the world's like feels like it's kind of dropping in on us because we're so focused on what's going on externally and not really taking the time to look within. Then we had the Page of Swords and the Knight, the Queen of Swords, and the King of Swords. That leaves last, but certainly not least, the Ace of Pentacles, the 2, I almost dropped that card, that's why I was a little wonky, sorry about that, the 3 of Pentacles, the 4, and I think that illustration of the 4 of Pentacles, the character in it, there's someone I follow on Instagram, like she's got a really great page, and I believe it's called the Village Tarot Witch, and she looks so much like that girl in the illustration. It's very cool. There's the 5 of Pentacles, and the 6, the 7 of Pentacles, the 8, the 9 of Pentacles, and the 10 of Pentacles. Almost dropped again. They are very slick cards, but they're very, very well made. We had the Page, the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. Now it does seem we have 2 different cards, because a standard tarot deck, the actual tarot deck, is 78 cards. But when it comes to the molds, or whatever they're called, to make them, they come in 80s. Like when you make it, you come out with 80 instead of 78. So sometimes they use those cards to advertise themselves, like share like different information about the deck, or like sharing about the deck. Or I have another one that says like join this club, like the Tarot Association. So this deck actually chose to share this card, and that's the one I told you about earlier, the Everything is Fine, as well as this right here, and it says MW, which relates to Modern Witch. And it says right here, you are a badass being, full of love, full of life, love, and possibilities. Through this deck, may you find a path to your best self. So that's a really cool little motivational thing that comes with this deck as well. And one thing I've really noticed as we go like back through the deck right here really fast, I might not go all the way, but that yellow energy that we began with the Fool, especially this is the Pentacle suit, so it definitely relates to that yellow. But I see it prominent in a lot of these cards. And the yellow, like I mentioned, is the card of, because you can even see it here on the 9 of Swords, is a very creative color. So even if life is sucking lately, you feel stressed out and like overwhelmed and stuff like that, you have the power to change that. You have the power to create the future and the destiny that you truly deserve. And I really like that attention to detail there, is like that yellow is kind of prominent throughout all these cards. Like they're like she's created her success, she creates her wishes. And there we have the yellow as the sand, you know, she's creating the future she wants by leaving the one she doesn't want behind. Here we have it on the bow, and we have it in her hair, like whatever option she decides, she can create it. The yellow house there kind of shows like where you've come from and how you've created that past and you're learning from it. The sand here relates to creativity. We've got the brick wall there. her coat, the lion head, the sun in the background. Well, you get the idea. It's like prominent in all the cards, and I think it's a really nice little aspect of it. Now my cards are out of order now, but that's okay. That's how we shuffle them and how we do the readings. Set it there. Here's the backs of the cards. You can see, very well done. You can turn them upright or reversed and it'll be the same thing. This way you have the M and the W, but you know that's kind of interchangeable, and it's M and W over here. So when you pull the card, you don't know if it's upright or reversed, which is something I definitely love. I really wasn't a fan of reading reversals for the longest time, but I feel like they do give a little bit more depth to a reading that you might not have had otherwise. Now, like I've mentioned in the beginning, this deck is like a little bit harder than other decks, like a little bit thicker. So shuffling it like that might not be that easy. But you see the way that I shuffle before, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. So if you prefer, like you don't want to like bend the cards or warp the cards, you can do it that way. But it's definitely an awesome deck, and one that I would recommend for a beginner. If you're watching this and it's like, I want to get my first tarot deck, this is definitely one to consider. It's really awesome, very slick. I keep wanting to drop them. I love how that, I didn't want that in the middle of the deck, and that came up, like just popped right back out, and I had it like right in the middle, so that's kind of cool. But definitely an awesome deck. And if it costs you, like I mentioned, it'll be in the description, or a link to buy it will be in the description below. You do have this little book right here that shares the information about it. Now the pictures are black and white, but that doesn't really matter because the cards themselves have the colored illustrations. So if you need some like little help on what the cards mean, you definitely got that as well. It has a really nice little box here that will keep it safe and stuff. So it's a deck I would highly recommend. If you want a reading with it or any of the decks in my collection, feel free to comment on this video. Send me a message on any of the socials. I share, I like to think, maybe the most descriptive daily readings on social media. Like it's like 1,000 words every single day. I really pride myself on really lengthy, detailed readings. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll leave that on the description and the link below too, where you can follow me for daily inspiration every single day of the week. You can message me on either one of those to book a reading, or you can book one directly from my website. As always, I really want to thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again in the next one.